Hello, YouTube fans and Facebook Live fans of DX Engineering. It's Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It's time for the Manufacturers Showcase, brought to you by DX Engineering. This is every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. We take and bring you one of the manufacturers that we represent and sell here at DX Engineering. So today we have with us Eric Swartz. Eric is the CFO and co-founder of Elecraft. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Good, good. Great to have you here today. And I believe you are in sunny Northern California.
Yes, sunny. It's cool here, though cool for us is probably relative. It's probably in the 50s and low 60s today, but we've been getting down almost in the 30s at night here once in a while. But it is clear.
That's great. So, Eric, we're going to talk about some of the products that DX Engineering sells from Elecraft. And so why don't you go ahead and start it off?
Okay, super. Well, thanks again for having me here, enjoying this. And it's my first time live with you guys, I think. So hopefully we'll be back for more stuff in the future. Yeah, I'm going to cover a few things here in terms of the stuff that you guys cover for us. I'm going to start off. I'll just walk real quick through these, and I mean not real quick, but the list real quick, and then we'll jump back in detail. I have an XG3 signal generator with me, and also, of course, the W2 watt meter. I'll cover those in detail in terms of physically showing them, and then I'll mention some of our mini modules afterwards. I think you might be able to hold up and wave some of them at the camera too. I think you've got some on your end. So, first thing I was going to cover, and by the way, do you want to stop me periodically for questions, or how do you want to handle that as we go through here?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I'm watching the chat room, so I'll jump in.
Okay, fine. So the first one I'm going to show you is our XG3 signal generator, this little guy here. And I'm going to zoom in on it with a different camera in a second here. But this guy is a handheld, battery-powered, actually 9-volt battery, and a signal generator that covers at a minimum 160 through 2 meters. You can dial the frequencies in directly. Actually, we have a control software program. You can program memories on here too that we come pre-programmed with them on it. And also, you can use harmonics from these actually up into the 400 megahertz range easily, or even up to a gigahertz in some cases. Let me switch cameras real quick. Just give me a second to click on this. It lets me do it. I'll do a little close up here. Okay, is that coming through okay, Tim? You got that there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Apologize if I don't know how the video comes out at home there, but that's a little more of a close-up on it. Just to turn it on here, you'll see some lights come on as I tip it on here. Basically, the XG3 has a whole series of memories, basically a memory for every band listed on the front panel here. That's this list here. And you actually can use all of them on one band if you want, but we pre-program them like it, 3520, and then on 40 meters, 4020, and so on, all through the bands. Pre-programmed, but you couldn't actually make all these memories on one particular band and have 12 different memories if you want. You just use the band up and band down to walk through the different memories. And also in the bottom here, we've got several output levels. We actually have everything from 0 dBm at a very loud level coming out, but also we have minus 33 dBm, which is S9 plus 40, I believe. 73 is S9, that's 50 microvolts, and also minus 107 dBm, which is 1 microvolt, basically about an S1 level in that area. And so you have a weak signal level, which actually we even give you a little formula to calculate the minimum discernible signal from your radio. I actually carry the, and from that 107 signal level, and you can actually look at that versus what there's no signal coming in at, and a quick little formula will give you the MDS for it. But basically, these are designed so you can run them either portable like this, a little BNC on the top, and I have adapter cables for SO239s I use myself. And for instance, even at flea markets, though these days a lot of those are online, but I would carry one of these with me and actually check out radios I was interested in, plugging it into it and stuff. But it's also a favorite of our techs at Elecraft because this is much lower cost than our fancy HP and Agilent signal generators. And if they transmit into it, there's going to be less damage too. There's actually a fusible link inside that will pop if you actually did that, and you could solder a wire back on top. But in addition, you can also power this in addition to the internal 9-volt battery, this little one that goes inside here on the bottom. You can also power it. There's a little jack on the top here, a 2.1 millimeter jack for, I think, anywhere from 9 to 12 volts. And we also have a serial or USB interface. We have a USB to serial cable that you get. I believe it comes with it. And you can program the devices I mentioned, but you can also, with a program that we supply for free on our website, you can control this from a Windows PC. I'm not sure if we have a Mac version of it. I have to double check, but you basically can control frequency in real time. Just type in a frequency and have it jump to it. You can have it sweep over a frequency range. You can also do that by programming one of our two keys here. These two keys, if they're held, they're function keys, so function 1 and function 2. And you can program them to do a specific sweep between two frequencies and repeating. Or you can also program them to send Morse code and a beacon if you want. I've actually used these for transmitter hunts. And also RTTY if you want to play with that too. So it's a handy little tool. Comes assembled. And Tim has those there in stock. But this is one of our more popular test instruments. It's actually pretty clean. It's not the phase noise is reasonably good. I wouldn't do super close in space, like 2 kilohertz or less super strong signal tests on it. But for general signal generator stuff, checking out receivers, tracing signal paths and receivers, also providing a signal out in the field. I know Tim's used our XG1 and XG2 crystal-based signal generators in the past for checking out his antennas and stuff. And I'm going to switch back to the other camera here just a second. So you're not just staring at my hand, and get that off the screen here. Hold on. Okay. And are you still, I guess you still got me on there, Tim? Yeah. Okay, you're good. So putting it in the field too to check antenna patterns. I've used that before. I put it in, so it's not a super strong signal, but put a little whip on it and put it out in the field. And again, this is nice and portable. And you can also go around looking, place it out in the field and see what your antenna patterns are, say at K3LR, whatever, if you're checking things out, front to back, or just what the overall gain pattern of your antennas, or even if you're having interaction between antennas, which is nice too. So you've got a small signal that you can control when you're doing that. Whole bunch of uses for it. So both benchtop as a little miniature sort of lab instrument, and also as a field tool to play with is really handy. So it very cute. I'm going to turn it back off there and see what that one looks like.
Very nice, Eric. So we have 2 questions in the chat room, and one of them is DX Engineering going to start selling Elecraft radios? The answer is, you never say never, but not at this time.
That's correct. Yeah, I know Tim's been trying to twist my arm literally for quite a long time to do this, and certainly the smaller products for the Campbell's nose under the tent. I'm sure we've talked about this for years. I've known Tim for a long time. At this point, because I very honest, and I told Tim this at the time we talked about this years ago. We're structured as a direct sell, and our pricing's based on that. Obviously, he has to make some money too, and that would be difficult for us at this point, running it through him. But you never know; things can change in the future. But and certainly, there's nothing wrong with DX Engineering. They've been a great company, and I've been watching you guys grow. You've been doing a wonderful job. So we're paying attention. But not at this point. It's all direct from us. So you can buy it all around the world direct from us. And actually overseas, we do have distributors, but you can also buy direct. It's your choice if you want a local support or not. So we do it both ways, but it's on the web there too. But Tim's got this stuff in stock, so on the smaller stuff, and so obviously he can ship quickly too. That's always a good thing too.
Right. Yeah. Get that order in, and it's going to go out tonight. So Dino KL0S says 2 or 3 locals here are waiting for K4.
I knew I was going to get one of those questions.
It didn't take long.
Well, it's tough because I've got a huge backlog. We introduced that at the last physical date, actually, and started taking pre-orders on it. So that was over a year and a half, more than a year and a half ago now. That, of course, with all the fun we've had with the COVID stuff here, has been quite a slowdown on getting things out. But that said, we did start shipping our first units. A couple went out very few at the right end of September, and then a small number in October. We're ramping up through October, November, and December. Now I'll be at full speed, I think, really in January. But small amounts have gone out. I've got a big backlog, so with not knowing where they are in the order chain, I'd have to look them up. I couldn't tell for sure. But we are getting stuff out. Periodically, our vendors also have issues. Not anything fatal, fortunately. It's more start. I'm sure you run into this too, Tim, where they say, "Oh yeah, it'll be there next week," and then 3 weeks later it shows up, right? Yeah. And in the case of a radio like the K4, we've got a huge number of boards inside. Not huge, but a large number of boards. It just takes one not being here. I actually have one I'm waiting for right now. We're going to be stalled for about 2 weeks here just because of that, unfortunately. But overall, it's not going as fast as I wanted to the last couple of months. But on the other hand, they're going, which is good. But it'll be a lot happier when I've got, approaching 1,000 of them out there. And I've got close to that on backlog, probably, if not more. So I have to go back and look where the latest counts are. So they'll be on the air pretty soon.
Why don't you tell us about the watt meter?
Yep, more important for what you guys have there. Let me get over to the W2. That's this little guy back here. I'll zoom in on it here too. But if you can see that, it's probably pretty small in the picture. Power it on there, you can see the LEDs go back and forth. But let me move this other camera over to it. And give me just a second to switch so they can see it in detail. This is actually quite a nice watt meter. We've been selling these for some time. It goes all the way up through 2,000 watts. So let me switch the screen here. Let me get that positioned and in focus, hopefully. How's that look, Tim?
It looks great, Eric.
Okay, so this is the W2 watt meter, which actually consists of two pieces. This is the display unit, obviously, and as I mentioned, I'll do it powered up again here so you can just see the power LEDs. That goes to a self-test as it first comes up there. So we've got up through 20 watts, 200 watts, or 2,000 watts on this top scale. The bottom scale here shows SWR from 1 to 1 all the way up through 5 to 1. External to this, I don't have it easily because it's actually hooked up to my radios right now, is a directional coupler. It's actually a fully transformer-based bidirectional coupler, so we get accurate forward and reflected power. That we have versions that will handle for the lower power guys that only run 200 watts or less. It measures down below 1 watt into the 1/10 of the watt range. So you have a 200 watt scale for that one on here. We can sense these automatically. There's actually an automatic setting for sensor. So it'll figure out exactly what one you have hooked up. And then also we have one that goes to 2,000 watts, basically 1 watt to 2,000 watts, which I have on here right now. We have couplers for the 2,000 watt one. I believe that's just HF. Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I know in the 200 watt one, you have VHF, UHF. For one coupler, it goes to all the way up through 440. And also we have a HF coupler, of course, for about 0.1 watt through 200 watts. So what's neat about this guy is we've got both real-time display of power here with peak hold, so you can see what the peak power was when you're on sideband. In addition, you can select between 2 different sensors, so you can have a VHF, UHF one, and an HF one. But also, we've got, again, a serial output out the back, and we have a cable that takes that to USB. And we've got a program that will run on, I believe, PC and possibly Macs that will display power in real time, lets you control this. We have a number of people use these on remote base situations where they can actually get feedback over the network of what their power is doing, besides what they're seeing from the radios and stuff, especially with more complex stuff. And this one's we've had these out for several years, and I know Tim sold a bunch of them for us. They're very popular. It's a pretty sophisticated little box that's easy to get. I think, Tim, do you guys carry the kit version, or do you carry the assembled version only of this? I forget which you have there.
Yeah, we just have the assembled version.
Okay. Yeah, so the assembled version is already built. The kit's not much less, actually. It's pretty much just a couple of assembled boards inside the display board and the main board for it. But as you can see, it's a nice, small, compact unit. Not going to take up a lot of space on your bench, but they're very handy for keeping track of power on stations and stuff. So I use that here in my station, in addition to what I'm getting on the pictures, on the screens of the amps and everything else. That gives me a good feel for it. So let me switch back to my face again here. Okay, and I'm back here. Any questions on the watt meter so far?
Nothing so far. We're on here today with Elecraft, Eric with Elecraft, and Eric's pretty much the face of Elecraft, and we're talking about the various small products and kits that DX Engineering sells for Elecraft. And what else do you have to show us, Eric?
Okay, I think you may have to be my model holding up some of these things because I didn't have the other ones handy. Let's see, we covered the main WXG3 and the W2, which are assembled products that you have. And then we've got the mini module. These are all modules. These are all kits that are solder kits that you assemble yourself. And I know Tim has collected these for years. Let's see, you've got the, do you have a DL1 dummy load there or not?
I do. I have the kit.
The kit version of that.
The
DL1 bag, but so basically you get a small bag. I think it's about 20 watt dummy load. It's good up through 2 meters. It's actually, they carefully laid it out so it would handle that. I think they're non-inductive resistors on there. For folks that just want a low power dummy load for quick testing, that's a very quick one to do. And also, if you're getting started in kit building, it's a great way to get your soldering together without worrying about destroying something. As if you're not comfortable soldering and learning how to do it, it's a great training tool. Another one is our BL2 Ballon. There we go. And the BL2, Tim's got one assembled there, is also a kit. Not a complicated transformer to wind there. You just got to run a couple of loops of wire through. You can sort of see it going through the transformer. If you tilt it a little bit to the forward side there, Tim, rotate it just slightly. Yeah, there you go. They can see it. You wind those through it and go into the right holes on the board. There's a switch that selects the windings, so you can get a 1-to-1, basically just isolation Ballon, or a 1-to-4 Ballon step up for like open ladder line. And you've got basically screw terminals on the end for your antenna wire connections or going into your ladder line or whatever you want. So that's a handy little tool. And we've also got, let's see, 2T gen, I think you said you had also, the 2-tone generator. And this is handy. This is for transmitter testing. You see the ARRL test on every radio where we transmit with 2 signals, 2 tones that are spaced going literally into the microphone input on the radio or line in on the back. And this can generate those. So you can set separate levels for those. And you can also, I don't know if you can adjust the tone frequency or not. I forget if we do that, but that's a great test tool. A little bit more. Oh, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what I use that for is when I'm tuning up the amplifiers for SSB. And so what I did, Eric, is I built a cable that goes right into the Heil mic adapter. So it's very easy to get into the ICOM radio with it. I used, I've got the 2 tones at the same level. And so every one of the amplifiers is tuned perfectly with that 2-tone generator. It's just fabulous.
That's a great tool. That's why we did that. I think you guys also carry some, I don't know if you have this. Do you have a CP1 there, directional coupler?
No,
okay.
I do not.
You do carry them on your website. The CP1 is another small board like what Tim had there, which basically has, like an SWR bridge, but now it's just providing a tap. And I forget how many dB down is, if it's 30 or 40 dB down from the signal you're passing through. You've got one for forward and one for reverse. Now you can use that for doing like vector analysis if you want on forward versus reflected power. And you can also use it just for putting into a scope, for instance, to watch your transmit envelope, similar to what you were talking about in terms of tuning up your amplifiers. But if you want to make sure you're not flat topping or having a strange problem there, it's another way to get a clean signal and also watch the reflected power coming back at the same time. People build those into all sorts of fun projects. All those are solder projects. None of them are complex in terms of building. They're 1 evening projects, 1 hour projects in some cases. And it's all of these actually are suitable, I think, for beginners. It's all through hole, no surface mount, easy to assemble, and it gets you going both if you like building stuff, but also you get some neat lab tools there, and they're not expensive at all. So they're quite reasonable in terms of your cost.
So Eric, there's a couple of questions here. Ethan says, will they please bring back the K1, the 4-band QRP radio kits?
Oh, it's tough. When I have to discontinue something, no matter what I do, there's always going to be demand for it afterwards. That one, 2 things happened on it. Thanks for the question, though. I'd love to have it too. I got a few of these toys in my shack since I keep one of everything that we've built over the years. But the K1 was a fun radio. It goes up to 4 bands, CW mode. Great kit. Good audio, obviously, from a simple superhead receiver. But some of the parts we were getting for it became difficult to get, and the volume had dropped down on that over the years because the later products that we brought on, the KX2, KX3, things like that, basically took a lot of that volume away from it. So actually that and the KX1 were the 2 products I think that suffered as a result of that. And in both cases, I also had some parts that were getting harder to get. We'd have to relay out boards, do more engineering time. And unless I have a lot of engineering time free, that would be tough. And obviously right now we're still busy with the K4 and, adding features to it and things like that, and also options for it coming out. So I won't be getting that in the near future. I apologize. But we hear that. So who knows what we might do for a fun product down the road. It might not be exactly a K1. It might be something similar, but some of those parts aren't easy to get anymore. So we have to probably look at alternatives to that. And
our friend Joe K0NEB says, is is there no solder kits available like the KX3, or is there soldering? I'm not sure what he's,
Okay. Yeah, I understand the question. Now, all the mini modules we were just talking about, the 2T-Gen, the Ballon, dummy load, those are all solder kits, through hole, just like the old Heath kits. Easy to build. They're wide open, not tightly spaced on parts. There are not a lot of parts on them, so they're fairly easy to put together. And if you mess it up, it's easy to get fixed, so you're not going to have a problem there. And the older radios, like the K1, of course, were all full solder kits. The K1, the KX1, the K2. We still sell the K2. That one's still going out the door after. That was our first product. We were able to keep that one going at least. So, and of course the other ones, the modular kits like the KX1, KX2. The watt meter behind me is a modular kit if they get that as a kit. But that's where the boards, the surface mount boards, are pre-assembled and tested. And you do the final assembly, and might be some minor alignment in the case of the radios, usually with the firmware and stuff.
And then Andy Mansfield said, I emailed you about the TBR 160S, still had no reply. I don't know if that's for you or for me.
It must not be for me. I don't have a product with that number on it.
Andy, if you emailed me, I did not get your email. I respond to every email I get within 24 hours. If you don't hear back from me within 24 hours, it means I've gone to zone 41 and I'm SK. So Andy, please email me again and we'll take care of you. Let's see. Joe says the 3-band signal generator is great. Of course, that you've discontinued that, right? The XG2.
XG2, yeah, that one, I don't think we have those anymore because we had to order parts in such high volume that when we introduced the XG3, this little guy, which of course is equivalent to it really for most uses, it's actually more flexible because you have all the different bands in it right away. You don't have to go out and buy 1,000 crystals at a time to get a reasonable price or things like that. And we obviously, when that came out, it knocked it down in volume. So they're probably out there in the used market, but no, I don't think we're selling those anymore.
And Valero says, will there be any new Elecraft kits in the future? Probably safe to say yes.
Yeah, I can't tell you what kind they're going to be. Certainly modular kits. Even the K4 has a modular kit coming for it that we usually wait till we've been in production a while on something like that. So we find all the things the kit builders are going to find and make sure that we've got the instructions and also everything together so it's easy to build. But certainly down the road, that's in our DNA. So you'll see other stuff from us. It's tough doing full solder kits these days. This is something that even people say that, yeah, I can handle the surface mount soldering, but it's not going to save you any money is the other half of it, because the cost of handling those surface mount parts, think about this for a second. A lot of them come out tape and reel. They're all for automated assembly. I could do a simple board with a small number of parts, but if I was doing a radio or anything like that, it'd be a lot of parts. Mm-hmm. We have to pull them off separately, kit them and bag them, because in some cases, like I said, the parts are even marked. They're actually on a reel that's marked. You get that a lot on some of these, and you can imagine if a builder dropped them on the floor, what they're gonna, what is this, right? Or what value is this? So that makes it tough. So at that point, we decided that anything that's going to be complex, that we're probably going to have to avoid that. Simple kits you could possibly do. I know some QRP kit guys have done those, but usually they're doing limited volume productions and stuff. So I'd say that most of our kits going forward, if we can do through hole ones, we will. In some cases, it might make sense. But a large number will be modular, where you get the boards. It's more like building a computer these days. And the boards have been tested, so they're going to work. But we have to go through all that cost of testing, so that, of course, you don't save as much that way. But on the other hand, we do save the final assembly, final test, so there is some savings to it. And you get the fun of building the radio and knowing how it works inside, how it all goes together. And if you want to modify it or get a signal brought out of it, we've always supported that. So if you, on any of our products, if you modify it in a way that doesn't destroy it, and you may have a small problem on it, maybe you cause a problem in it and you have to send it in for repair. Sure, you might have to charge a little bit for repair, but we're not going to say, no, we won't handle it for you. And if it's one of our problems that has, parts has a problem or something, of course, it'll be warranty. But those are a lot of fun. And we actually opened it up to a whole group of people that weren't comfortable soldering that way. I like the solder, but that's the sort of practicalities of it these days.
So Jeff, WD8JM says, K4 loaded available as a question mark, or K3 in kit form?
I'm not sure what he's referring to, kits, or is it, it says K4 loaded. The K4 loaded will be available as a a modular kit. It's not available yet because we want to go and obviously get our production, because we get our production, just banged into the laptop there, get our production up and rolling, and actually caught up with just the huge number of assembled orders we have for K4s, and then release that later this next year. So you'll see that coming out. But in terms of Heathkit style solder kits on the big radios, no, you're probably not going to see that in the near term.
John says, is Eric a ham? He sure is.
I'm WA6HHQ. I should have put that on there. I've been a ham since 1971. And that's what led me to a career in electrical engineering in Silicon Valley. I went to school back east. I'm from California, one of the few that were born out here, I guess. But I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area near Oakland, Berkeley, where UC Berkeley is located. Actually went there for a year while I was in high school. I had a dual, got in there early and doing a dual thing in math and stuff. And then went back east to school. So I had my exposure back close to your neck of the woods back there, Tim, and then came back out here to Silicon Valley back in the late 70s. Worked as a design engineer, engineering manager, got involved in some startups, did some of my own in the test instrumentation industry. But all that was because I was a ham radio operator. That got me into, really from a design standpoint, I wanted to design stuff. I was building my own stuff in high school, like a lot of us were. It got started early. And that helped me get a good practical aspect of it and a good chunk of theory. And then when I took stuff in college and got my degree, it was neat being in those courses where they were throwing all the theory at you and stuff, but I knew where the end point was. I could say, I know what that's going to turn into. And that actually helped you grab into and understand the theory a lot more too. So one other interesting thing, both Wayne Burdick and 6KR, my business partner and myself, Wayne's our chief technical officer. I'm the chief operating officer, really the chief executive, running everything on a day-to-day basis. And also get involved in a lot of the engineering, because I'm sort of like the coordinator from getting engineering stuff, obviously through engineering and out into production too. But Wayne and I were both licensed in 1971. Didn't know each other. He was in Southern California, down in La Jolla near Los San Diego. And I was up in Northern California. But interesting enough, our call signs, my original call signs in Novice was WN6HHQ. He was WN6HQH. That's I used to joke with ARRL when I first brought the K2. That was sort of California karma there. They sort of looked at me funny. I was one of those West Coast guys talking about karma again or something. But I thought that was funny. And Wayne's catching up with me. He's almost got this little amount of hair. He's got a little more on top. But yes, I've been a ham for a long time and very active. You can see I'm in my Radio Shack down here right now.
And K0NEB says, I highly recommend these Elecraft kits. Very well written and thorough documentation, high quality parts. Arnie K5ARN says he loves his KPA 500 and KAT 500 combo kit. Jim says, I hope you will stock more Elecraft products at DX Engineering in the future. And as Eric pumps them out, we'll do it. Absolutely. And let's see. Arnie also says he owns the W2 watt meter as well. And let's see. John says, I use my K3S and KX2, but the KX1 that I also own was a wonder. And let's see. Great stuff, Eric. And we're on here today with Eric from Elecraft. And boy, a lot of innovation and great products that you've produced. How long has Elecraft been in business now?
Gosh, 22 years, I think now. We shipped our first product January of 1999. That's when we started shipping our first 100 K2s, the first radio we did. Yeah, it's amazing. So we started working out a few years before that, but I think I went full time in July of '98, and then we got those first ones out the door, literally from my basement. That was, and actually another room right behind me here is where we kitted the first 100 K2s before I realized that wasn't going to work in real production, especially with tall Dixie cups that like to tip over when putting parts in them. We went to the wider bottom by the gross that were like the chili cups you get at a deli type stuff. But yeah, 22 years. Scary.
Wow. That's great. Dwight says, my KX1 traveled 300 miles on the Appalachian Trail with me, and it worked great. And our friend Greg, NC7B, says, thanks for bringing state-of-the-art architectures to amateur radio. I've worked professionally with direct sampling. While the performance was always outstanding, the price point was too high for ham products back then. Not surprised to see direct sampling performing so well for the ham products. So good all the way around, Eric. And I want to thank you for coming on today with us. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure those that are not watching live will get a real treat watching the recorded events on YouTube. and of course, sharing it on Facebook Live. But that's it for a Thursday. Tune in tomorrow for the weekend special at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see everybody then. Until then, get on the air and have some fun. 73, Eric.
See you guys. Thanks a lot. I enjoyed it.